Finally, some good news on the Joel Embiid front. Nick Nurse dropping a Joel Embiid injury update today that I think kind of went under the radar that we'll get to here on today's show. Also coming up, Nick Nurse speaking further on some lineup changes that could be coming for the 76ers. Could we see some more double big lineups this year? And finally, the Sixers announcing that their old mascot Hip Hop will be returning for some games this season, as well as announcing some other information on their 25th anniversary game nights, of course, honoring the 2000-2001 team that went to the NBA Finals. So plenty to talk about here on today's show, guys. This is why you subscribe. With the season only about a week away, anytime there's news, rumors, anything to talk about regarding the 76ers, we talk about it here on the show. We are 156 people away from 24K. Lock us in and hit that sub button. So let's get started here with this injury update on Joel Embiid, which again, I think kind of went under the radar a little bit. Nick Nurse kind of casually mentioned this, and I saw it and I was like, oh, like, hold on. We haven't really gotten any kind of confirmation that Embiid could be ready to play soon from the Sixers, but Carlin, Sixers Wire, tweeted this out from Sixers practice that Nurse in his post-practice media availability said there is a chance Joel Embiid could play in the final preseason game this Friday against Minnesota. Still some thresholds he needs to get past in order to get in the floor, but did say there are no setbacks at all, just still some steps he has to clear. This is huge news, not because I want to see Joel Embiid play in a preseason game. I talked about this on a YouTube short earlier. Even if he's ready, I don't want to see Embiid play in the preseason. I think it's pretty pointless. But the fact that he could play in this final preseason game tells me he should be ready to go for the season opener next Wednesday. That is big time news because we haven't heard at all any kind of timeline on Embiid, when he's going to be ready to play, if he'd be ready for the season opener at this point. So, look, the fact that we are now hearing from Nick Nurse himself that Embiid could be ready to go for this preseason game tells me he should 100% be ready to play for the season opener next Wednesday against the Boston Celtics. That is big, big time news for the Sixers MVP. Now let's get to what else Nick Nurse had to say here after practice on this Tuesday, October 14th. A double big lineup. Could we see Nick Nurse experiment with some of these additional lineups and creative lineups to help the Sixers after what was a real struggle last year? Well, Nurse said today that we could see Joel Embiid and Adem Bona share the floor at times this season in these double big lineups. This came after Sunday, where we saw some of that during the Sixers blue and white scrimmage, where Embiid and Bona did share the floor. Nurse talked about this potential pairing. I mean, listen, I think there's kind of an open position at the four. We know this, especially right now with Paul George not being quite ready. Number of guys that were trying to work into that spot. He's just another one. Talking about Bona, what do I like about it? I mean, you probably saw today. He's probably going to be more the 5 in those lineups with Embiid in the 4. He's going to play down towards the basket and rim protect, things like that. But there's certainly some drive dump-offs to him, hit Joel hits him, type of situations that are high percentage plays. I like that part. I think he'll help the rebounding. He'll help the rim protection. So we'll see how it goes. I love this idea from Nick Nurse for a variety of reasons, right? Rebounding and rim protection, two of the Sixers' biggest issues last season. And yes, getting Embiid back solely will help that, but Embiid also at this point in his career, still a very good rim protector, not the best rebounder, right? So they still will have issues there. Putting these two bigs out there on the floor together will certainly help in that regard, and it allows each player to play to their strengths, right? For Embiid, kind of more of a perimeter player at this point in his career. Of course, still has that post back, no doubt. But, I think he wants to play a little bit more outside on the perimeter on the offensive side of the ball, whereas Adem Bona can be that crasher, that guy catching lobs, that guy attacking the glass, protecting the rim, right? So I do think their skill sets play off each other pretty well. It also allows Embiid, because he's playing on the perimeter, to get less wear and tear on that knee. And I think that's partly why he has adjusted his game over the years to be more outside, to lessen the workload and the tear he's suffering on that injured knee. And also it just lets the Sixers show some different looks, right? Shake things up. It was an awful year last season. Why not, if you're a coach like Nick Nurse, who, we know wasn't great last year, but historically hasn't been good at making adjustments, why not throw out some different looks? And you can continue to throw out even different looks than just this. Now, of course, if you have Embiid and Bona out there on the floor together, spacing is going to be a concern. Embiid's a great three-point shooter, no doubt about it, but he can be a little bit inconsistent from time to time, and Bona not really a shooter at all. So I'd be interested to see what the rest of the lineup looks like if you have those two bigs both out there on the floor. Certainly would want a Tyrese Maxey and probably a Quentin Grimes out there as well for the shooting aspects, but it really, really does intrigue me, again, because rebounding in particular, such a big issue for the Sixers team last year, and hopefully Adam Bona is ready to step into that kind of role. Sounds like he is, and he's been very excited to potentially play with Embiid. Here's what Bona had to say about this. I think it would be awesome. That's been my goal since I got here, since I got drafted at some point, to be able to share the floor with Joel. I've been working towards that, developing my game, how to be able to complement his game while I'm on the floor with him. So yeah, I've been working towards that. I'm really excited to see how that's going to pan out when we do get on the floor. So clearly Bona has been ready for this for a while and adapting his game in that regard. Now, I wouldn't expect to see Adam Bona, Joel Embiid full-time together on the floor, even really see it all too often. I think it can be matchup dependent, and for certain stretches in certain games, depending on the situation, I'm not expecting Bona to become the starting power forward of his team or anything, or Embiid at the 4, Bona at the 5, however you want to classify it. But I do think it's a good switch up to see Bona and give him some more time, because you have Janiyah Broome is going to get some backup center minutes. Obviously, Drummond, I think at this point, is going to get some backup center minutes. So how do you get Bona on the floor more? I really liked what he did last season in limited action. To average over a block a game, playing just 15 minutes a game is ridiculous. He's got a 99 block rating on 2K for a reason. Obviously, a very efficient scorer, pretty much dunks and lobs, and that's about it. Has to cut down on the fouls, but has a really strong defensive skill set as well. And Nick Nurse, keep doing this kind of thing, right? Keep experimenting with new lineups. He's already talked about the 3 and even potentially 4 guard lineups we're going to see this year. It's an interesting roster construction. And again, with how last season went, why not try everything you can? He knows he's in the hot seat. If it's another bad year, Nurse could be gone. So exhaust all your options, see what this squad can do, especially early in the season. Mix and match some guys that might not always be used to playing together, and see what you can do out there on the floor. Very excited for this news early on here from Nick Nurse. So we talk about this double big lineup, also mentioned the 3 to 4 guard lineups. What's a lineup combination you would like to see? Maybe it is, this double big lineup involves some other players. You let me know. If you were Nick Nurse, what kind of wacky lineups would you try to throw out there on the floor? Get down to the comments section and let me know. Now, coming up next, we got to talk more about the 76ers throwback anniversary dates, because the Sixers did announce that old mascot, fan favorite hip hop will be returning, along with some other dates and information on these anniversary games. So we will get to that just around the corner, so do not go anywhere. But before we do, I want to give a big shout out to today's sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this basketball season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. And Prize Picks, it's so fun and it's so simple to play. All you got to do is pick more or less than at least 2 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in big time. I love the features they have to offer. One of their great new features is stacks, where you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. So if you wanted to pick more on Joel Embiid's points, rebounds, and blocks, you could do all that in the same lineup only on Prize Picks. Of course, opening night in just a week from today. Sixers open up in a week and a day next Wednesday. So I got a 4-pick power play coming at you for the games on Tuesday night, including the max discount you can see at the bottom on Steph Curry. More than half a point, just has to score 1 point, and you get the win there. Luka Doncic, more than 8 assists. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, less than 31.5 points. And Alfred Sengun, due for a big season, more than 34.5 points, rebounds, and assists. It is that simple to play, guys. So get involved. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Okay, so let's get to this exciting announcement, because over the past about month or so, the Sixers have kind of been trickling information on this 25th anniversary of that 2000-2001 finals team, dates, uniforms, court, and now they've announced that the mascot from that era, hip-hop, will be returning, and it's actually going to be the same guy as well who was the mascot, retired for quite a while. He's also coming back to play the mascot. So the Sixers are kind of doing whatever they can to get back in the good graces of their fans. This is how they announced that here today, that hip-hop would be back. Won't go through the whole thing. You can pause and read it if you like, but it is going to be the return of one of the era's most memorable mascots. At the bottom, you can see there it says the Sixers will pay tribute to hip-hop at the Saturday, November 8th game versus the Toronto Raptors. So that'll be his first appearance there. More games will be announced where he'll be at and when he'll be honored at future dates. But that game against the Raptors, the first one to monitor. Also important to note that he's not replacing Franklin the dog, the Sixers' current mascot. Not a replacement there. He'll just be joining him for these throwback games. Alex Coffey as well, breaking that the Sixers were bringing back hip-hop for a few games to celebrate that 0-1 season. And again, as I mentioned, Bill Roth, who played the mascot from 98 to 2011 before the lockout, and then the mascot got kind of sent away at that point, will come out of rabbit retirement too. And isn't it funny? Of course, the very typical Sixers, their mascot's coming back out of retirement. He actually tore his ACL and Achilles while being the mascot for the Sixers. Just so fitting for this organization. But he will be back. Very, very exciting. Sixers also released some more information on the games that this team will be playing and honoring this 25th anniversary team, and the actual reunion game where that squad will be back as part of the 25th anniversary celebration of the 2000-2001 Eastern Conference Championship team. Sixers are announcing they will host a reunion game for that squad and the coaching staff this season. On January 31st, as the Sixers take on the New Orleans Pelicans, the team will honor the legendary players and coaches who electrified the city, taking the Sixers to the NBA Finals. Have not been back since. The night will be packed with powerful tributes, pregame, in-game, and at halftime, honoring the grit, heart, and legacy of that squad. So we're not sure who exactly will be back. I'm sure as many of the guys and coaches and players that can make it from that squad will be back. Of course, I imagine they'll honor Dikembe Mutombo and his legacy. May he rest in peace. It should be a tremendous, tremendous night to be there as they honor that team. The Sixers also did announce every single game that they will be wearing their throwback jerseys and playing on that throwback style court. 14 home games this season. So save these dates, write them down if you want to go to one of these games. Make sure you pick one of these so you can see them in those sick jerseys. Of course, the 8th against the Raptors, that will be the first one where they will be honoring the mascot, and you can also get your jerseys at the stadium at that date and time too. So all these nights, again, you can write these down. Make sure final one is actually the last day of the regular season against the Milwaukee Bucks. So should be good. I'd love to get out to one of those, but at the very least, I'll be getting myself a throwback jersey. You can count on that. Are you excited for these throwback games, man? The jerseys, the court, just the aura in general, remembering this team that brought the city so much success and so much happiness. I know I'm excited. If you are, type me down in the comment section. Let me know if you'll be going to one of those games or getting yourself a jersey. That'll do it for today's show. We'll be back at you tomorrow with another one, so be sure to subscribe, turn on your notifications so you don't miss a thing. We'll catch you next time right here on 76ers Now.